In 2020, global changes in the world forced people to stay in their homes. With many people not being able to shop in person, the demand for online sales rose significantly. A report in 2021 found that the number of digital buyers reached 2.14 billion. That is just over 1/4 of the world's population. This large increase led to a growth in e-commerce jobs for candidates like you. Many of you who decided to take this program did so with the intention of obtaining one of those new jobs. Now that you've learned a vast amount of knowledge about digital marketing and e-commerce, it's time to get a job. In this section of the course, I'll help you prepare for the job interview process. We'll complete a project-based scenario, then we'll explore the job interview process, including how to prepare a portfolio for a job application and how to create a resume. Then we'll move on to prepare for the interview process and learn what you can expect during the interview. To wrap up, we'll discuss common interview questions. We're nearing the end of the program. Let's finish strong. Are you ready for a challenge? Up until this point, I've been guiding you through videos that have introduced or tested you on new concepts related to the best e-commerce business practices. Now it's time for you to put those skills to the test. In this section of the course, you'll complete a scenario-based project. This section is meant to prepare you for a future in e-commerce and digital marketing by giving you a glimpse of the duties or tasks you might encounter in the workplace. Once you're finished, this project can also be used to demonstrate your knowledge to potential employers. Move on to the next course items to learn more about the expectations for this project.
Hi again. How did you enjoy creating your scenario project? I hope that it gave you insight into the tasks you'll face in the digital marketing and e-commerce industry. If you've been taking the courses of this program in order, you may remember me from an earlier video. If this is our first time meeting, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Erica, a people consultant at Google, also known elsewhere as an HR business partner. My job involves helping managers, leaders, and Google employees grow in their roles to help our organization reach their goals. Over the next few videos, I'll be taking over for Mike to guide you through some job readiness skills content. Let's get started. It's time to explore e-commerce portfolios and how you can use them in the future to impress your interviewers. A portfolio is an edited collection of an individual's best projects intended to showcase work experience, style, or methods. You may be able to visualize what a portfolio for a photographer, painter, or fashion designer may be. If the portfolio belongs to an artist, it might include paintings or photographs. For digital marketers and e-commerce professionals, this might be a little different. For this field, portfolios should visually communicate assets and items you've created that relate to your experience with digital marketing and e-commerce. These items can include ads, social media posts, campaigns, videos, email marketing examples, and much more. Portfolios can come in many forms, including websites, slideshow presentations, or even printed documents. Let's review those. First, there are portfolio websites. These allow employers to access your work through a simple website URL. Portfolio websites can be created using website builders like Google Sites or Wix. Here is an example of what this might look like. In this mock portfolio website, the e-commerce analyst displays their work in a way that is visually interesting. Visitors to the website can select links to move from one project to the next. While these websites create a great professional appearance, they may require advanced knowledge or more time to cultivate. An alternative is slideshow presentations. Like portfolio websites, slideshow presentations allow employers to access your work online. However, they require less time to create than websites. These can be created using presentation software like Microsoft PowerPoint or Google Slides. For example, using the same fictional e-commerce analyst as before, here is their work displayed on a slides presentation. Just like with a portfolio website, the link for the presentation can be shared. And finally, there are printed documents. Printed documents can be created using an application like Google Docs, Canva, or Adobe InDesign. The benefit to using printed documents is that they are portable, so they can be taken with you to interviews. However, they can't be submitted to online resume portals, which is a huge disadvantage in a digitally connected industry. In a later reading, you'll explore how to create a professional portfolio using one of these methods. Once you decide on the portfolio type that works best for you, it's important for your portfolio to convey who you are and the types of jobs you're interested in. The way you position your previous work in your portfolio will help communicate your identity as a digital marketer or e-commerce specialist. It will also help future employers evaluate you as a potential hire. Here are some tips to keep in mind as you create your portfolio. First, organize your projects. Organization is important as it speaks to which projects you are most confident about. Put projects that best demonstrate your skills at the beginning of your portfolio. For example, if you are put in charge of creating a weekly newsletter for the company you interned for, you could add example images of the newsletters to your portfolio. With that in mind, be sure to add any projects you created in the certificate program to your portfolio. Next, summarize each project, including its goals and outcomes. For our newsletter example, you may add that the intended goal of the newsletter was to inform customers about new products available on the store's websites, and the outcome was that the emails led to 80 new website visits a week. Next, highlight any transferable skills. For each project that you add, you want to tie it back to how it relates to the digital marketing or e-commerce industry. In our newsletter example, you can mention that the skills learned from this project relates to the field of email marketing and customer retention. Finally, demonstrate a willingness to learn. This can come across in your reflections on your own work. For example, instead of only highlighting everything you did well, it can be useful to identify mistakes you made during the process and things you do differently next time. The goal of your portfolio as an entry-level employee is to show potential, so don't stress if it isn't perfect just yet. You can always go back and add more to your portfolio as you gain more skills. One of the first steps to applying for a job is creating or updating a resume. In this video, we'll explore what job resumes for digital marketing and e-commerce should include to make you a competitive candidate among fellow job applicants. First, let's define what a resume is. A resume is a document created and used by a person to present their background, skills, and accomplishments. They can be used for a variety of reasons, but most often, resumes are used to secure employment. Generally, they are between 1 to 2 pages long. You may find that a resume is sometimes called a curriculum vitae, or a CV for short. A CV is a document that presents a full history of an applicant's full academic credentials and professional experience. While oftentimes used interchangeably, a resume is shorter and presents a more concise picture of your skills and qualifications for a specific position, so the length tends to be shorter and dictated by years of experience. By comparison, resumes are different from portfolios because instead of showing an employer what you did with supporting material, graphics, and examples, resumes tell employers what you did using words. Resumes can be created on your own using word processing applications like Google Docs or Microsoft Word. Many people, however, find that it is helpful to start with the resume template. Google Docs, Microsoft Word, and online platforms like Canva offer a variety of templates to choose from. Templates save time and help your documents look professional. While these templates may look different, there are usually 4 sections. A personal information section that lists your name, email address, and phone number. An experience section that lists your work history. An education and training section that explains your education background, and a skills section that details what specific skills you have. If you are using a template, you should replace all of the pre-filled text with your information and qualifications. In the digital marketing and e-commerce field, hiring managers are searching for candidates with related experience and skills. You should include experiences and skills like the ones that you've acquired or developed in this program. These include, but are not limited to, creating email campaigns, knowledge of Google Ads, SEO strategies, and building shopping campaigns. This is the perfect time to reflect on what you enjoyed and did well during this program. You'll want to spend more time developing these skills. You can include skills that you didn't obtain in this program, like learning an additional language or your cultural fluencies. If you don't have much experience in the digital marketing or e-commerce space, that's okay. Be sure to also include any positions that have skills that can transfer to a new field. This is a sample resume for an e-commerce position that has all of the proper sections completed. In the experience section, it lists specific job roles and the actions that this candidate performed while in them. Coming up, you'll learn more about how to prepare your application materials before applying to jobs. With the digital marketing and e-commerce market constantly evolving, there are a variety of different roles you may apply for in the future. While there isn't any one specific job process for these many roles, there are some similarities when it comes to interviewing. First is finding available jobs in online listings. With the development of global internet accessibility over the last few decades, many job seekers turn to the internet to find roles that suit them. You may find luck on job board sites like LinkedIn, Indeed, or Google Jobs. These sites allow companies to post job descriptions for candidates like you. This is an opportunity to help you understand what you can bring to the role. Before you begin, be sure to write down what you are looking for in a job. Maybe it's a certain salary range or a specific daily task you'd like to complete. This way, you can filter jobs that don't fit your idea of the job you'd like to have. Companies also have recruiters who are tasked with finding candidates to fill their job needs. If they believe that you fit their job qualifications, they will likely reach out to you on a professional website like LinkedIn and encourage you to fill out an application for their position. So, be sure to keep your information up to date. You can add this program to your list of experience or certificates. Hopefully, submitting an application leads to a job interview. However, it is common to submit many job applications and not hear back from any of them. Sometimes it takes dozens of applications to get even one interview. Don't be discouraged if this happens to you. This is common, and you will get better at the process of applying each time you try. Continue applying to as many positions as you find, and try not to get too attached to a particular position. Keep an open mind. Eventually, you'll find the right position. Once you get an interview, you'll want to know what's coming. How the interview process unfolds will be dependent on the employer. For smaller companies, there may only be 1 or 2 interviews. For larger organizations, however, there may be many rounds of interviews ahead of you. In most cases, the first interview, called a preliminary interview, is a fast-paced meeting conducted over a phone call or video chat. The purpose of this interview is for someone at the company, like a recruiter, to gather basic information from you, like your name, and to review your resume to briefly go over your skills and experience. While preliminary interviews are usually casual, make sure that you put your best self forward. That is, make sure you present yourself as a viable candidate for the job. The second interview is usually called a follow-up interview. This is an in-depth meeting that will likely feature members of the team that you will be working with. This will be your time to make a great impression. In a later video, we will go into more detail about how you'll accomplish this. For now, remember that follow-up interviews always require some preparation. Once you complete the interview process, you'll receive a response in the following weeks. If the news is good, congratulations on your new role. If the process ends in rejection, don't worry. I encourage you to take the time to reflect on what you can improve on in your next interview. However, there are often untold reasons why you may not have received a job offer that has nothing to do with you or your interview, so don't get discouraged. Personally, I like to believe that a no is just one step closer to a yes. Just remember that there are a vast number of opportunities out there for you to apply to. The steps to getting a job offer isn't a perfect science, but keep a positive attitude as you apply, and soon you'll find the position that is right for you. So you've responded to a job posting and they have reached out to you and want to set up an interview. What's next? One of the most important things you can do to prepare for an interview is pre-interview research. You can conduct pre-interview research before and after you apply. It can be very tempting to go into an interview without completing any pre-interview research. However, it is important for determining if the company is aligned with your own interests and goals. The company you apply to could have different values than that of your own. Another benefit is that it allows you to learn more about a company's positive or negative reputation. Reading what others have to say about a company is a great way to get an idea of what it's like to work for that company. This allows you to view achievements or shortcomings a company may have. If the company you are interested in isn't discussed positively, more research can illustrate how the company chose to respond to the situation. And finally, pre-interview research can help you during the application and interview process. Reference the information you learned during your pre-interview research in your cover letter, resume, and interview. It'll show that you prepared for the interview, and it's a great way to let the employer know that you are serious about the role. Now that we've covered some benefits, let's explore the next steps of completing pre-interview research. The first step is to explore the requirements and expectations of the job you're applying for. To start, read and explore the requirements of the position before the interview. You can do this by reading the job description in detail. Or you can reach out to someone who has the job or has worked in a similar role. If you don't know someone personally, consider reaching out on a professional networking site like LinkedIn. Speaking with someone who has the job you're applying for can help you get a sense of the background, knowledge, and skills that you'll need to succeed in that job. Just remember to use your discretion on who you contact and how you talk to them. Be sure to keep your messages concise and professional. The second step in the pre-interview research process is to gather knowledge about the company you're applying to and, if applicable, its products or services. To find specific information, explore the company's website to learn about their values, their achievements, and company culture. You can also search for recent news articles related to the company. This step also includes exploring reviews on the company from current and former employees by visiting sites like Glassdoor or LinkedIn. Be aware, not all information like this is factual and could be biased based on the poster's personal experience with the company. This information should be taken cautiously. If you apply and schedule an interview, the third step is to determine common interview questions that may be asked. Use a search engine to ask, what are common interview questions for an e-commerce position? Compare information from different sources until you get a general idea of the most common questions asked in an entry-level e-commerce interview. You can also use other sources like reviews of the job interview process on sites like LinkedIn or Indeed in order to gather additional information about questions that may be asked. After you schedule an interview, you can use these questions to help you prepare. You may even want to ask a friend or family member to help you practice for your interview by asking your questions from the list. Or you can take time to practice your interview questions and answer in front of a mirror so that you can anticipate how you will come across to your interviewer. Whether you are deciding on applying for a position or have landed an interview, this information plays a major role in the application process. Coming up, we'll explore more ways to get you interview ready. Every step in the interview process is an opportunity to build rapport, meaning a friendly, empathetic relationship that makes communication and connection easy. Building strong, memorable connections with hiring managers is much more impactful than just submitting an application and moving on. Let's explore some tips for building rapport with your interviewer. Before your interview takes place, it can be helpful to understand who you will be meeting with and their background. To get to know your interviewers better, do a bit of research on them. Nothing extensive or invasive, just enough to know who the person is and their professional experience. Don't stray into their personal life by looking into their social media pages or other non-work related online activities. You can find this information on the company website and the interviewer's professional website or LinkedIn profile. Smaller companies often have an About page on their company website where they'll list team members. The company site can help you learn more about each interviewer's role at the company. Once you are in the interview, Remember to be yourself. Every person you meet during an interview might be a future colleague that you'll have a long-term professional relationship with. In the same way you want to know more about who they want to know more about you. That means actively sharing things about yourself to build a relationship while also being professional and respectful of their personal boundaries. Next, relax. If you find yourself nervous during an interview, remember, you're not alone. Many people with years of experience still get nervous during the interview process. If this happens, remember that interviewers are interested in your knowledge, skills, and qualifications to advance you to this point in the process. So you've already proven that you're a great candidate. To help you relax, take a few breaths before your interview begins and practice answering questions before your interview takes place. Fourth, ask questions. Remembering that your interview is a two-way street is important as it creates more opportunities for you to learn more about the person you're communicating with, the job you're interviewing for, and the company you're considering joining. In addition to asking questions about the company culture and achievements, ask the interviewer questions about what they find rewarding about their job or what they enjoy most about the direction the company is going in. The answers that they provide will lead to more insight about the people you'd be working with and how they feel about the organization. Asking thoughtful questions also demonstrates that you're interested in working for the organization and that you're curious about how to make things better. And finally, learn about the culture of the company. While it's important to follow certain social norms, you will still need to prepare so you know what to expect. Understanding the cultural norms of the company is key so that you can either be sure to match them as you interview or specifically share how you may be different. For instance, understanding how formally people dress in the office could help you decide what to wear for your interview, and it will also help you present yourself in a way that feels both respectful to the company and authentic to yourself. At some companies, wearing a suit to the interview might not be appropriate. And at other companies, wearing a suit might be a requirement. When in doubt, ask the recruiter. But it's usually better to be dressed more formally than casual. In addition, use appropriate professional language at every point in your job search, even if they don't. You want to build a rapport, but being too casual in your conversations could cause interviewers to misunderstand your ability to work in a professional environment. This could be the one thing that prevents them from recommending you for the position. Great. Now you know more about the people you're meeting and how to build a rapport with them. Move on to learn more about the interview process. In any good story, there's usually a strong beginning that sets up the narrative, an exciting middle that presents obstacles, and a resolution that wraps everything up. But imagine if the fairy tale Cinderella, which is an ancient Egyptian story popularized around the world by Walt Disney, was told with major parts missing. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Cinderella. Something happened with a glass slipper, and she lived happily ever after. You'd be very confused and have a lot of questions. The same is true with answering interview questions. During the interview, you may be asked questions like, can you tell me about a time when you solved a problem related to buying and selling goods online? Or, what part of the e-commerce industry do you enjoy doing the most, and why? To answer these questions as well as possible, it's best to use a proper structure that provides the right amount of detail. A helpful strategy for answering interview questions is to use the STAR method. STAR stands for situation, task, action, result. Try to keep your responses short and focused on your main point. 1 or 2 sentences is usually enough for each part of the STAR method. For example, if an applicant with office management experience was asked, describe a project that makes you proud. Using the STAR method, they'll want to structure their answer in a way that's relevant and easy to follow. They'll start with a situation that relates to that question. For example, in my last job as an office manager, the small business I worked for was growing fast and needed to move to a bigger office space. Next, they should relate that situation to the task that they were assigned. For example, they might say, I was asked to help organize the move to a new office space so that it would be a smooth transition. My goal was to make sure there was very little disruption to the company's day-to-day work throughout the process. Then, they'll share the action that they took to complete that task. For example, I made a list of everything we would need for the packing and moving process and created a timeline for the project to ensure everything got done at the right time and in the right order. I also kept the company owner and employees updated on how things were progressing. Finally, they'll share the result that was achieved at the end of that situation. For example, the move went smoothly and the employees were able to focus on their work with only a few hours of disruption to get settled into the new office. Plus, the company owner was very happy not to have to deal with the logistics of the move on their own. While answering questions using the STAR method, be sure to give the interviewers a sense of who you are and why you're there. Be well prepared with specific points about how your unique background and experiences fit with the position. As you practice more and more, you'll get better at responding to all types of questions. Have you ever been asked the question, "Who are you?" At first, it can seem like a pretty simple question, right? For example, I could simply answer by saying, "I'm Erica." To go one step further, I could even add my job title and the company I work for. Now, instead of simply saying, "Hi, I'm Erica," I would say, "Hi, I'm Erica, a people consultant at Google." But even saying that isn't a larger reflection of who I am. This is where elevator pitches can help. An elevator pitch is a short, memorable description that explains a concept in an easy-to-understand way. The idea is that you only have the attention of your audience for the duration of an elevator ride, so you have to be able to communicate the concept quickly and succinctly. Elevator pitches are particularly helpful for introducing yourself to career and business connections, like at networking events or in the office. You may even notice that your elevator pitch will come in handy for other types of situations, like meeting new friends or new colleagues. For your purposes, the elevator pitch will focus on who you are, your experience, and what makes you unique as an entry-level digital marketing or e-commerce specialist. Let's explore the different parts to an elevator pitch by using me as an example. Since I work in human resources, I'll be pretending that I'm applying to an entry-level position in my field. Let's get started. First, there's the intro. It details who you are and your current role and a little bit about your professional background. Personally, I would say, I'm Erica, and I'm a people consultant at Google with more than 10 years in the corporate environment. My current role is similar to that of a human resources business partner at other companies. My job involves helping managers, leaders, and Google employees grow in their roles to help our organization reach their goals. Next is the most applicable part of my background that I bring to a job opportunity. For example, in my time in this field, I've worked with employees and leaders at all levels to help them achieve their career goals through professional development and coaching. After that, I add in what makes me excited to be working in my industry and showcase my passion for the work that I've done. For example, I love diving deep with employees and leaders to understand their goals, passions, and what keeps them engaged and excited at work. In collaboration, I help them map out career paths and development areas which can help them achieve their goals and support their teams, organizations, and the overall business. Coming up, you'll create your own elevator pitch. If done correctly, it will help you be more prepared when an interviewer asks you to tell them about yourself. Once you've perfected it, be sure to practice it every now and again. Also, be sure to update it once you achieve more accomplishments. Good luck!
Congratulations on finishing this video from the Google Digital Marketing and E-commerce Certificate. Access the full experience on Coursera, including job search help, and start earning the official certificate by clicking the icon or the link in the description. Watch the next video in the course by clicking here, and subscribe to our channel for more lessons from Google Career Certificate.